Okay, I'd like to do some practice on exercise set 2B, which deals more with the arrow connector, which is called material conditional. I've called it if then. I'm going to get a better marker. And I want to do one thing with these because in this exercise set 2B, for most of the exercises, it's all arrows. There aren't ands, ors, and I want to give you some that combine arrows with some of the other connectives in the homework set. So I'm going to modify a couple examples to get you working on that, and then you'll see how it works in the exercises. In the homework set, and you'll be ready to do that. But let's work with a few of these. The key for the first few, and then of course for the rest of them as well, is remembering the arrow rule. Okay? It's true arrow true equals true. True arrow false equals false. True false arrow true equals true, and false arrow false equals true. Okay? A little different than any of the others we've seen. Okay? Different connector, different rules. Right? If the antecedent is false, if Ann is here, then Bob is here. As long as Ann's not here, you haven't said anything wrong, the statement's true. When the antecedent is true, the consequent has to be true. So true arrow true is true, but true arrow false is false. So anytime the antecedent is false, the whole statement's true. In addition, anytime the consequent is true, the whole statement's true, right? So it's here in these two spots when the consequent is true. It's also true in these two spots where the antecedent is false. 3 out of 4. Okay? 3 out of 4. Now, once we build these more complex statements, we're not going to get 3 out of 4. And again, we're applying the same rules. We take A, B, and C to be true, X, Y, and Z to be false, and see what the resulting truth value of the statement is. Okay. All right. So let's just run through 1, 2, 3, and 4 quickly. Right? A arrow B is true arrow true. A arrow X is true arrow false. Right? B arrow Y is false arrow false. Sorry, true arrow false. And Y arrow Z is false arrow false. Okay? A arrow B. Ann and Bob are both here. If Ann is here, Bob is here, that's a true statement. That's true arrow true. You say if Ann's here, Bob's here, you come in, you find them both. You're good. Remember, the if then doesn't have anything to do with one cause the other. It has to be, it's just if the first is true, the second's also true. Otherwise, it's moot. This is false. This is false. This is true arrow false. Right? You say if Ann is here, then Xerxes is here. You go in, Ann's here, but Xerxes not. That's a false statement. If Ann is here, Xerxes here. Someone tells you, you go in, you see Ann, but not Xerxes. They've made a wrong statement. Same with B arrow Y. It's true arrow false is false. Y arrow Z is false arrow false. If Yolanda is here, then Zeke is here. Right? False arrow false. False arrow false. If Y is here, then Z is here. Right? But Y is not here. So the statement's moot, and we take that to be a true material conditional. Okay? That's 1 through 4. These are our rules. If I can, I'll keep our rules up on the board here while we're working through these. Okay. So what you have in the rest of the exercises are nested arrow statements. Nested arrow statements. And the rules for main connectors apply. Okay? So, if you have 2 arrows, you can group the first set. A arrow B implies Z. I'll use implies as another word for the arrow. A implies B. Right? If Ann is here, then Bob is here. Ann implies Bob. A arrow B implies Z. Okay? A arrow B implies Z. I'm going to take one more chance at a darker marker. Okay? A arrow B implies Z. Okay? Where this arrow is the main connector, right? Because this A arrow B is a group. This statement in parentheses is the left side, and this is the right side. So here's the antecedent of your larger if-then statement, and here's the consequent, right? So you're going to go inside the parentheses, and you're going to do A arrow B, which is true arrow true, and your whole statement is that implies Z, which is false, right? True arrow true is true, so you get true arrow false, and that's false, okay? If you put the parentheses in a different place, you get a different result. Number 9 is the same as number 5 in terms of the letters and arrows, but you've moved the parentheses, so you have a different proposition. Let's do that. Okay. A arrow parentheses B arrow Z. Okay, so we've got true arrow parentheses true arrow false. Okay, so true arrow, this is again, now this is the main connector, right? Because the other connector's inside parentheses. True arrow false is false, right? So we've got now in the larger statement true arrow false, and again it's false. Okay, so you might end up with the same thing, same truth value, but in this case, right? But they still are different statements. If the truth values were different, if the truth values of the parts were different, you might get different answers for those. Okay, we'll get into that. Okay. Let's see what happens, right? When we change this, right, to X arrow B implies Z. Okay, X arrow B implies Z. All right, now here's an interesting one for how this rule works. Okay, main connector, right, secondary statement. So in the whole statement, antecedent, this implies this other if-then statement. Now, why would you say one if-then statement implies another here? Well, this says if Xerxes is here, then if Bob is here, then, and only then, not only then, right? Then I'm committing to Zeke being here. I'm really committing to these two things, right? If this, then this conditional holds, right? This conditional doesn't hold by itself. It's not just if Bob is here, then Zeke is here. But if Xerxes is here, then if Bob is also here, okay. There'd be actually another way to write this with an and statement. Okay, but we can track using the rules. Main connector, not main connector. So we've got true arrow, parentheses, true arrow, false. Now here's the key with sentential logic, right? You have your building blocks, right? So this statement is false, B arrow Z's, right? So in this scenario, Xerxes is here, Bob is here. Sorry, Xerxes, in this scenario, Xerxes is not here, Bob is here, Zeke is not here. Uh-oh. But that means this conditional doesn't hold, it's false, but that's, your whole statement says, oh, I messed this up here, sorry, too. This is false. This is false. That's key to this. That's key to this. Sorry. Right? Your statement wasn't that Bob implies Zeke. Your statement says if Xerxes is here, then Bob implies Zeke. But Xerxes is not here. So you end up with false arrow false, which is true. Okay? Your statement is true because it's moot, because your main antecedent, if Xerxes is here, then this other stuff happens, is false. The condition didn't hold, and when you make a conditional statement, if the antecedent doesn't hold, you're in the clear. Doesn't hold, you're in the clear. Okay, what I want to do is a few of these. If you get down to number 11, you have multiple, right, and then you have nested punctuation, but the statement still applies. Let me just write it for you, so you can deal with those. And this is a good example. We haven't dealt with nested punctuation before. We have brackets, A arrow B, close parentheses, implies C, close brackets, and that whole thing implies Z. Okay? How do you deal with this, right? Main connector, left side, right side. Okay. Now within this statement, you've got the brackets encompass the whole thing, right? This is a unit, and then A arrow B implies C, right? So innermost connector, then you got to deal with this, then you got to deal with this. Just to deal with it quick, I'm not going to do the whole chart. We got true, 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 implied false, right? A implies B, true arrow true is true. So we have true arrow true, right, which is true. And then we have false on the other side. Okay, so you deal with this first. This is the antecedent of this statement. C is the consequent. And then that whole thing is the antecedent of the larger proposition. Okay, true arrow false is false. That's how you deal with that. I know I went through that quickly, but work through this step by step. And if we need to go over some of these more complicated ones on Monday, we will. Okay, last thing. A mix of arrow statements with other punctuation, with other connectives. Put this off to the side here, right? A and Z, parentheses, implies B. Okay? Same deal. Follow your connector rules, okay? Inside punctuation, so this is a unit. And then this unit is the antecedent of this larger if-then statement, where this is your main connector. And we've got true, false, true. So we have true and false, parentheses, arrow, true. True and false is false, but false arrow true, indeed, as long as you have false antecedent, is true. Okay? And similarly for other combinations. So you still just deal with the main connector rules. Follow the rules here. For some reason in exercise set B, Hardegree doesn't mix those until much later in the exercise set, but I want you to be able to deal with that. I'll think about ways of giving you more practice with that. But there is some practice on exercise set B, and we can pick up with this on Monday.